I don't really know how I feel about Simpsons Bible stories. This is the 18th episode of the 10th season, directed by Nancy Kruse. And in terms of other people's ratings, it's got 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, which, for The Simpsons, is quite a low rating, and I think maybe one of the lowest rated for season 10 up to this point. But I think the reason I don't like it is because it's not my personal style of episode, but actually, the retellings are quite interesting. Now, I think it may depend on your religious aspect. I'm spiritual. I'm not technically Christian, but I have a lot of Christian beliefs. And I do find Bible stories to be interesting at the very least. And I think they tackle some relatively interesting stories within a story, because the setup is that they are at church, and obviously why Reverend Lovejoy is talking excessively, the various members of the Simpsons family begin to drift off to sleep, or their attention wanders, and as they do that, we see them dreaming about or thinking of Bible stories where the characters are the Simpsons characters, and obviously various other characters within Springfield. And I mean, the title is pretty accurate. It's The Simpsons Bible Stories with the Simpsons characters. And I think they choose a good selection. I won't spoil it too much by going into too much detail. We have Adam and Eve and a couple of others, and I think the ones they picked were good choices. I think they worked quite well. The characters they chose to play certain biblical characters, I thought the choices worked very well. As an example, again, I won't spoil too much, but for example, we have Adam and Eve as Homer and Marge, and I think that works very well indeed. And yeah, when I think about it, there's nothing wrong with it. I think the stories they chose were good. The editing between the church scenes and the Bible stories, everything flowed very nicely. I think the morals and messages were obviously very clear, and they injected quite a lot of humour in there, which obviously is important for The Simpsons, without being insensitive. As I said, I'm not strictly speaking Christian, but I am spiritual, which is very similar, and I didn't find it offensive at all. Some people may, of course. And I really enjoyed kind of the process of it, but at the same time, I didn't really enjoy it as much compared to every other episode, if that makes sense. As a one-off, I didn't mind it, but I would still have rather I was watching an episode that's, not stories within a story, because I just don't ever find those as engaging as other episodes where we have, with an anthology or a compilation or various clip shows put together, which this kind of got the feel of all three of those. So I think they set out to do something and they did it well. And there were bits of it that I enjoyed. But for me personally, it's not my favourite structure for a Simpsons episode. So I think I would rate it more highly than the 7.3 out of 10. But at the same time, I can understand why it's not rated as highly, and indeed I don't rate it as highly as a lot of other episodes from this season. It's not, for me, the best, but I think they had a mission and I think they did it well.